Hey y'all, it's Evan with Fifth Third Trading. This is going to be our watch list for Monday, December 21st. I have about 15 plays for you. These are all really good ones, I think. These are great value plays. We had a pretty red day on Friday across the market. These last few days have been kind of a melt up and a meltdown. Luckily for us, FEYE, AEYE, and CNCE last week made us like 30% each, easy. So we made quite a lot of money last week. Hoping to repeat this week. Like LeBron James out here, back-to-back finals style over here. So let's get into it. This channel, again, is for those who have 9-to-5 jobs who need to have stocks they can be secure with, where they don't check their account every single minute of the day. You know, folks out there have the time and the capital to sit at their computer for 8 hours and make a good living. Not knocking them, congratulations to you. But if you are a beginner trader, 9-to-5, intermediate trader, and you have to have obligations in life because some of you guys are caretakers, some of you guys have kids, you guys have actual jobs, this is the channel for you. No one else talks about this. You guys are a giant market cap left behind. No one, because you're not, it's just, no one cares, right? I don't know why, because most of us have actual jobs and actual responsibilities. So I'm here to try and make stocks work for you, not you work for your stocks. With that being said, we're almost to 1,000 subscribers within a month. That's insane, and I appreciate the support. Again, the goal is to make a community of support and learning and actually do this the correct way and teach technicals, and then you guys can leave me and you guys can go do this on your own, and you can come back to me just for the watch lists and just to kind of get a 4-minute synopsis, and you can click through the videos and then don't worry about the technicals at all from me. That's my real big goal, is that you guys can go on without me. With that also being said, the best way to learn, as I found, is before every stock is a 5-second ticker video. I suggest you pause it, go to Thinkorswim, go to any of those charting apps that you use, Weeble's fine, chart out the technicals. Again, I could do the whole animation across the screen here. I'm not going to do it today because I'm a little tired. So you guys can just go in, mark the supports, resistances. Those should make you channels. The channels need to have success from support to resistance, resistance to supports, 100% of the time. Is it going to be perfect? No. It's never supposed to be perfect. There's a little bit of sloppiness to it, and that's kind of why this is such a much more of an art form than it is science, right? It's like cooking. Cooking is an art form, baking's a science. This is the art part of stock trading, right? So it may not be perfect, that's quite all right, it's okay. Once you get the supports and resistances, make your trend lines and patterns. Once you do that, those are your diagonal lines. They're not always going to be horizontal. That's the key. After that, look for patterns. You have head and shoulders, double tops, triple tops. You have all these different types. Look for those. Look for candle setups, like probably bullish engulfing is the easiest one, or some dojis, or long red, short red, doji, short green, long green, whatever you want to do. Look for that stuff. Then turn on the indicators, RSI, MACD, Stochastic, EMA lines, whatever you use, volume profile, and then go through and do it that way. Support, resistance, channels, patterns, indicators, trend lines, call it a day. Then you can watch mine and see how much you match. So enough rambling from me. You guys have been here before. Let's get into it. Alright, so you can see me down here. Above me is our watch list. You could feel free to just pause it and look at all these. You could feel free to not even look and don't care. It's up to you. I can see though, my shirt's in a Wu-Tang. It's for the children. Alright, so first one's ADC, Agree Realty Corpcom. Again, do I know what it does? Nope. Do I care? Nope. Not always my problem. You're supposed to do the fundamentals. I do the technicals, so you might want to look into that. This is a great setup. So this is definitely an ascending triangle. Now again, this is where technicals become an art form, because is it really a triangle? Because, pardon me. Pardon me. I'm not going to edit that out though because I'm tired. So is it technically a triangle because you can come over here and cut through this and be like, well, I mean, it may be, but it's a super mundane one. But again, I don't think these things happen on accident. But again, you could have been over here and been like, oh man, look at this sick triangle forming. And then like it hit here and just died. So I don't know if this is necessarily the greatest trend line to follow. And again, if this was like this, right, if that happened, I would be much more confident. So keep that in mind that this trend line is a pretty weak one. And I say that also because it's only hit twice. Trend lines are 3 times. They're successful. 2 is a coincidence because you can do that anywhere. And then 3 makes it a pattern to me. So again, this is just this line. That's why this can take a while for me. Like ADC doesn't take a minute explaining this, but it's just so critical to you that you can do anything on this chart. You can be like, oh, that's definitely a descending triangle when these 2 hit. But as soon as these 3 hit, right, that's a big deal. But that's exactly why I see it blast through with power, right? So you can't just connect 2 of them. You know, you can't just come over here and be like, oh man, showing lower highs, it's doomed, right? That's not how this works. So this is not a great trend line at this moment because of that. So please keep that in mind. But this is a strong support area, right? It shows life here. It shows life, shows life, shows life, shows life. Stops action right here. So it is holding above it. Now, again, we're talking a difference of 4 cents. So technically it's broken, but we're not going to split hairs on this. So how far does it have to fall? Realistically, it's going to fall, if it does, another 1.75%. Anywhere in this area, as you can see, this gap is a really good indication of where it's going to probably stop because you can see a lot of price action blast through here. But then also, if you kind of hold your cursor here, you can see how much action to the right of this, it stops at, right? It stopped here, here, and over here. So you're probably going to see it down here. And again, you could go and buy in. You can stop loss anywhere down here. It's 2.73%. But that needs to be an indication if it does live here, you're not going to make the most money, maybe 5 or 6% until it shows higher highs. And that's going to be a massive key for you when it comes to ADC. These line up on purpose. This is not an accident. Okay, 5 times is definitely not like, oh, happenstance. No, it needs to break higher highs to really show life. But again, it's had very steady support here. So would I be surprised if it dies on Monday? No. Would I be that upset? No, I wouldn't be. Now, if it dies and breaks this trend line, I'd be like, all right, I know what I'm dealing with. This is just a channel, for sure, right? This then is erased for me. So if this drops and it comes down to the 62.75 area, be on high alert to buy in because then we're talking easily almost 10%. So ADC needs to possibly break here, but if it lives tomorrow on Monday and it really shows some good life, I would definitely hold it and I would go long. Let's check the indicators. This is kind of why I think it's going to reverse. That RSI 30 is over here when it gets this low. But it seems to really show life anywhere around 40. And you can see that with that line, how many of these little bumps and line up with that. So this is at 36, so it's already overextended as it usually is. So I think every time it's kind of gotten down to this area, this is an important exercise for you to do. You come over here and you can see, because RSI is not just oversold and overbought. That's a very amateur way of thinking about it. RSI is very easily 30, 40, 60, 70, right? You got to make some channels. And if you can see historically around 35 where it's at, it also has reversals. That's a critical idea to think about. So it's the RSI is oversold, and I consider anything under 40 as oversold. Stochastic can't get much lower. There's no real divergences yet. Now again, if I were to connect here to here, that's definitely a straight line. And then from here to here is not a straight line. But again, we don't know where the reversal is going to come, so that's not really a fair judgment. And then MACD is stupid. So EMA lines are both above it. Those are going to be resistances moving forward. But again, I don't see much respect out of them. It just cuts through them like cheese. Except for right here, it respects the 200. Besides that, I see no 50 line respect really. Right there, I guess. A little bit. All right, so I guess both are pretty weak. But I would just then give weight to the 200 because it's a longer time period. So it could live here. And again, if it lives here and makes an easy 5%, I mean, no one's gonna bet. No one's upset with 5%. That's still green. But again, I think it has a good chance also of dropping down to the 62 area. And if that happens, you're gonna make about 10%. So let's let it play its way out. But if you feel confident with the support, ADC is gonna be a great buy Monday. Next is American Homes for Rent, AMH. We've played AMH before to some high success. We played it over here. So what's great about it is that you know, we can send this to the left and see this doesn't line up, but it's very clear today that this is higher low, higher low, higher low. This is an ascending triangle, and I love it way more when triangles hit multiple times. I hate when people are like, "Oh, it's an ascending triangle right here because of blah, blah, blah," like that, and it's like it tapped once, it doesn't count, it makes it a channel of anything. This is definitely an ascending triangle. Once, twice, fake out 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This gives me hope that this is going to eventually break because, again, when price action gets higher and higher, that shows bulls are in control because they're saying, I'm willing to pay $28 now for this good, this stock, and it comes back down to $28, $25, and they go, I'm willing to buy the stock again at a higher price, and so on and so forth. That's showing price action and demand. Stocks are just, supply and demand. So you could wait for it to come back in a channel. Now, I don't put a lot of weight into this 655 stocks because this averages like 3 million a day. So like this is a bloop to me. I'm guessing probably on Monday morning this is going to drop down really quick to 29.12. But there's also a chance that people are seeing it bloop up and be like, oh, folks are going to buy in, then it's going to go long. And when it goes long, it's just going to start knocking out stop losses from shorting and then just catch flame and keep going. So I would buy in as soon as possible, to be honest with you, because we're talking semantically 2% to the bottom of the channel, and then your stop loss would be somewhere around like 28.40, so 3.2%, right? So I'd buy in. We'll use the 29.33 as our buy-in. Worst case, if it does go long, which it's supposed to, 5%, 4%. But again, this is not going to be a slow play. You're not going to buy this and then expect a gigantic jump. But I mean, like I said, FEYE, this is the exact same setup on a larger scale, right? It tested it multiple times and blasted up. It's like AEYE, tested it multiple times and blasted up. It's like SMAR, tested it multiple times and blasted it up. That's our goal, right? We are going to get short-term gains for sure, but the goal is not to get 5%. It's to get a setup with the potential of 50%. And then that 50% that you make can now fund almost 25, 30 more stock entries, and you'll make more and more money, right? That's the whole goal. So the price action is fantastic. Let's check the studies. So they look good. I would say so. It looks like the 200 EMA is definitely the bop in this one. That seems to break it to go up. Now, that's a interesting thought because over here, you see how over here it didn't touch it, right? And then as time goes on, it broke it, and then it broke it a little bit less, a little bit quicker, and then a little bit less, and then very quickly, and now it's barely touching it. That's also kind of a sign of strength, right? If it really breaks it hard and then a little bit less, it's showing that the bulls, again, over the 200-day average, are kind of buying it at a higher price. The volume line is definitely going to be the resistance here. Massive volume on this candle, which shows a reversal. So we got to be careful of that because, again, we see this giant volume over here and it's green. You see what happened afterwards? Bloop, right? Now, again, see how this giant massive candle of red? You see how it was red until we saw a giant green candle? This may be consistently going to be red until we see a big green candle on volume. So be careful of that. RSI is 45. It's fair. Stochastic is pretty low. Do I see a divergence? I do. So when you come here and go over, and then you come over the exact same spot, it has to be the exact same spot. Don't cheat. And then over to this bottom, that's a divergence. It's a baby one. It's not like, Moses part in the Red Sea or nothing, but it's definitely there. A tad bit. It's going to show a reversal soon. And then also we have one over here. See if that worked out? So that's opposite, and what it did, it went up. Now, of course, though, it's still in an uptrend. So this is going to be a continuation divergence saying this is still going to continue upwards. So that's fantastic. MACD is stupid. So EMA lines 50 seems to be a little bit of strength, but the BOP's 200. That's beneath it. That'll be your stop loss. And again, don't use exactly 200 EMA. You should go back, and there's a lot of junk on the screen, but you should go back and track how far down it went beneath it. 2.67, 2.13, 1.86, 1.58, and then 1.32. It's lower and lower every single time. So you could be like, If you want to do the math, you could. I would just say maybe 1.5% beneath this. So I'd probably put my stop loss around 28.45, this support area, and call it a day. But AMH is a fantastic setup. It's going to blow up eventually. It just depends on when you want to get in on it. So it's a good stock. So AMRX is going to be, I'm going to talk quickly about this because we played it the other day. I literally called it down here and said, hey, it's going to go up. And then literally, this was also last week, it was a 20% play. I'm goated, whatever, you know, I'm killing it. So this is a interesting area because every healthy run up has pullbacks. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. You see how this ran up over here? You see how this candle tapped down over there? All right, you see then how it ran up over here? You see how over here it did the same exact thing? Okay, you see how it did the same exact thing over here? How there's pullbacks in all these? Well, it looks, I'm not a genius, but that looks like a freaking pullback to me. And what happens after pullbacks? Historically, on the stock, and again, historically, I always say instead of it will, it doesn't always happen, but historically it has shown this pattern. And again, when patterns happen more often, they're more prone to happen again, but they're not going to happen for sure. So it has a pullback like this, a good amount. We're talking an easy pullback at 8%. And it seems to reverse in the middle. I mean, it seems to have a reversal area right about here. You know, it reversed here, it reversed here, and that's exactly where it's at. Now, I think it'd be nice if it comes to taps the support area. Ooh, buddy. It is what I am. So my bad. But if it does pull back and hits 432, throw the Brinks truck at it, my boy. That's going to be a nice move. So, worst case, you buy in now, and then you have a stop loss around maybe like 425. You know, give it ATR trailing stop loss, whatever you want to use. It's cool with me. But, you know, AMRX is going to pull back and make a big move, I think, just historically speaking. Let's check the indicators. And again, it looks like the pullback is to the 200 EMA line. You know, that's what it seems like. This one just seemed to be a support of the volume area. And then this one again, volume area. So it has a history of pulling back on big run-ups. It looks to me, and this is going to be literally convergence in action. This is a support area. That's your 50 EMA. That's your 200 EMA. It respects both, and they're both literally crossed together. That's an extremely strong support area. But again, with it being such a strong support area, when it breaks hard, like over here. Broke through that bad boy hard. So I would trust the 200 EMA as my stop loss. Simple as that. And then you would sell if it held beneath it. If you see it going beneath it, do not freak out. A lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, Jesus, and you're going to like cut it in first sight. You know, there's plenty of wicks that happen. All right, you see like over here, this big old wick and that big old wick, right? Don't freak out. Or over here, see, if you would have bought in here and you would have been like, fuck, down in here, well, you would have ended green that day. All right, so if you see it holding beneath it after 4 hours, then you sell it. But until then, hold it, my guy. Okay? Big brain. RSI looks good. It's 48. It could be lower, but again, historically, has it ever been oversold in 6 months? Yeah, once, when it really died. Otherwise, it looks like the bottom out's 39. So you're pretty close. I guess comparably speaking, that would be 39. If you moved all this down 9 points to make 39 or oversold, it'd be 39 itself. So that's pretty good. Stochastic, do I see a divergence? No, looks about right. But again, it's negative 33, and then MACD is worthless. That's your play. You go off of the convergence beneath it, and you go long. It always has pullbacks. And I mean, this is going to be, if it does pull back to here and goes up, we're talking easily 20% in the next few days. That would be glorious. That would make this a 40% move overall. Me likey. I'm not going to waste time on AOS. I'm simply going to say if you like the setup, and I do like the setup, you should check out Thursday's video from last week, I believe, because AOS is, in fact, we bought in here, and it's still looking good. So AOS had a hammer, now a green one. That's a great reversal. Watch Thursday's video, but again, you may not want to, but just look at the price action alone. It's a good setup. Next is ATO, Adams Energy Corp. Ironically, my fraternity in college. Shout out to my boys. What's cracking? So, It's like such a douchebag. So, looking at this donk right here, you'll be like, why is this channel so big and not on screen? Well, I always do this with my stocks just to get some frame of reference. And, you know, and the reason I went all the way out is because you can see it respects, like, wide history, kind of like, you know, stonks. So, looking back, this is the crash, and I've been using the crash as a really good indicator of the bottom, but now that we're kind of moving away from that time period, it's harder to find. But you can see that this area, I mean, you can go here and kind of tippy tap here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like this area has been this channel has been really good for success. So I made it a little bit bigger than usual, and that's just, you know, my preference. And again, maybe that's a big old channel. Not really. It's 2%. It just is, this is a slower moving stock, so it looks bigger. So these are not an accident. Lower highs, higher lows. What has 3 sides that makes you money? A triangle. So that's what we're looking for. This is a support area, and again, it's held once, twice technically, I guess, 3 times, and then a bunch of little small ones over here. Now again, this support beneath it is stronger, but if we're showing higher lows across the board and lower highs, again, we need to assume that what's the difference between these 2 candles right now? All right, dope, 0.5%. If it drops down beneath this, then the whole triangle's ruined, and that's going to be sad because it shows. Now if it's a wick, okay, but if like it holds down here, well, it's doomed. So I'd buy in as soon as possible. It's a good triangle setup. And this is going to be a longer hold. I mean, from here to the peak for 8% was about 24 days. Now again, we're not looking for 8%. We're looking for a breakout, but we're buying in at the lowest price of a breakout because then, worst case, you make 7% for holding it, and you get some, you know, you get some money, right? If you held it for that, it's about 0.75% a day. You know, that's consistent gains. So I buy in just because of the higher lows, and then hopefully it breaks out eventually. Let's check the indicators. They look all right. The EMA lines don't. I mean, the EMA lines are saying it respects the 50 the most, and that's above it. It broke away from that. So that's going to be a resistance moving forward. That's probably why it moves so slow, is because the 50 is so powerful that it needs to like really break above it. RSI is at a great rate. Stochastic looks really good, and it's showing a divergence. You come here, you go over there. That's technically higher. All right. You come over here, same exact spot, and you come down. That's lower. I guess for, oh God, I don't know. It looks like this. Right. That's a divergence. So they're not showing the same thing. That's going to show a sign of a reversal soon. And then MACD, go to hell. I hate you. Not kidding. It doesn't help me. So it just takes up space. Looks really good though. ATO eventually will break out, up or down. You set a stop loss for a reason, but if it breaks up, you make some good money. Alright, been 25 minutes. Jeez. Okay, let's make this quick. Next one is AUPH, Arena Pharmaceuticals. Now, the thing with pharma plays, you need to be careful when you see a drop off of almost 22%. That's not an accident. I mean, they must have gotten some fundamental news. I trust you to look at it. Now, that's also not, I don't think that's always the case, because you can see it, whenever it got to this line, dead. Hit that line, dead. Hit this line, dead. It may just be the fact that people are following this pattern so strongly that when they see it tap that orange line, it just dies. But again, could you get a better deal than this? I mean, let's even look back real quick. Yeah, you could have gotten a better deal with this. Now, this gap, I'm not as afraid of because it filled. I mean, again, you have technically this area, and, you know, gaps are magnetic. And I mean, if you want to take my word for it, you can even see over here, before it took off, it said, fill this gap, and then it took off. So I guess there is a chance that that's a little concerning, but if we're talking short term, can you beat that channel and this value? Like, if I was a little bit higher, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But it died so hard, it's like, sweet. So we zoom in. You know, if you bought in today, you'd have to cut it around 120, 1280, 1279. Good stop loss. And again, what's the potential here? An easy possible 20%. It's 10-to-1 play. I mean, that's dope. Let's check the indicators. And they're good. As you can see, we actually played AUPH earlier. I delete my lines, but I keep my divergences. We actually played it over here. So if you bought in when I done requested you to, you'd be up 17%. Goated. The RSI is oversold, obviously. Stochastic says it can't get much lower. And MACD can't get much lower. And again, this is kind of a cherry-picked one. I mean, I could say, oh, you come over here and you go down here. That's definitely divergence. Actually, no, it's not. I'm an idiot. Dumbass. So, that's not divergence at all. Which is kind of concerning, though. Yeah, you don't want to see that. So, it says it has a little bit more room to die. But again, it's curling. It's all curling a little bit. And that was a high volume one. But over here, that's also a high volume one, which is red. That's a lower volume one, but it's green. So we gotta see a high volume green one. But AUPH is a fantastic deal. Even if it dies a little bit and actually starts going back down where it was, you lost 2. But again, price action wise and stochastic wise, it's a great deal. Next is CNCE Concert Pharmaceuticals. I called it down here. Remember we had a 25% day trade. Nice. So this is a really quick play. This is not a trend line play because again that'd be a little bit over here, but it is in fact testing this area. Is this a strong resistance? Yes. I mean, I would also though argue that the resistance was actually over here, a little bit lower, because those are wicks. And I mean, wicks are extremely important, but these two lined up perfectly for a reason. Now, you could also say that this wick and that wick, and then that wick and this wick are perfectly almost aligned. So again, we're splitting hairs, and it did hold above this line. So anywhere in this area is a fine value to buy the stock. You buy it and you're hoping for a bounce. You're hoping it's going to go and live here, and then that's going to be its new channel is in this area. So really easy play. You just cut it around 1190 if it doesn't hold, because again, there's nothing stopping it until about 1166, but probably closer to this area, right? This will be your next area to buy in. But again, real easy to read. Let's check the indicators. They look pretty good. It respects the 200 highly and it respects the 50 a little bit. So this is probably going to be a 50 MA pullback. You'll see a lot of these big plays that take off. They come back to the 50 to tap and to secure like buy-ins because folks are going to be idiots and be like, oh, tap the 50, go in. So is that real life? No, but people think it is. So we're going to play buy in before them and then make money when they all buy in and they all be like, oh, I'm a genius, but we've been in for days. So this RSI says it can drop farther, which again, I think it's going to. But again, it does have a history of bouncing here. Do not be don't get it twisted, right? Like it has a bunch of action of bouncing from like 50 to 45. So like it has a chance. Stochastic, could probably get a little bit lower. I time it. That's fine. And then RSI just crossed over, which isn't great, but again, it's stupid and worthless. So it is what it is. So I'd wait for it to pull back to the 50 if it dies. And then that's the case, you just sell it and then you just buy back in. And that's a good 2% you're going to save by doing that. You buy it in this area, and if it lives there and go along, you're going to make a bunch of money. So CNCE was fantastic for us once. I'm low-key kind of salty. It broke above it because I wanted to come back down. I wanted to do that and then come down, buy it again. But hopefully we can buy in again soon and make some money. I'm not going to talk about CRK. I've talked about it 1,000 times. All I'm saying is this downtrend, it's tested and held above it, and it's at an area value. Go watch AMRX videos. CRK I'd buy into today and see if you can get some profit off it. There is a chance it's going to drop down to the 420 area. 420. But if it does live in this area, I'd go long. If it comes down to 420, Dave's not here, man, I would definitely buy in even there and go long. Not going to waste time on Jill either. We had our spike. See how I said it just had this and it died, and I was like, buy in, my boy. I had a good friend of mine on the Discords buy in over here, and I think he made, what, 18%? Yeah, he made about 18%, and then it died. And again, it does that. It goes, and then dies. So it died right in a channel. I'd buy it and go long. And again, this is not an accident. I didn't draw this line like weeks, like, like a day ago to prove it. This is the data, this line. You see how it doesn't break that, but showing higher lows, it's gearing up, my boys. JIL is gonna go crazy. PCH was a triangle play that broke up. Bow! And what happens with triangle plays? They retest the resistance to make sure it has strength. Now again, I would partner that with the earnings right here. So folks probably saw the earnings, bought in, and then they're like, oh, I got my 10%, and then they quit. And it sold out. So is there a chance it's going to come back down to the golden channel? Probably not, but if it does, sick, because it's going to intersect with this volume line. Now, is this a support area? Is a question you should ask yourself. Yeah, it's a little dirty. It's a little messy over here. There's no clear peaks. But again, does price action stop in this area? Yeah. Does it also start in this area? Yeah. So this is a good area for it to bounce at. This is not an accident that this would happen. Now, again, this also isn't perfect, right? You see how, like, it didn't tap this and it went a little bit over. We're not going to sit here and, whatever. Like, go back and forth all day. So I think it's a good area for you to buy in. You could also probably, if you wanted to, take some time, and you could probably line some of these lines up real quick, and you could probably make a case for it lining up there. But again, I think it's just going to bounce here and be okay. Let's check the indicators. They look good. It looks like it was going to go for a 50 bounce, and it died. So if it doesn't show life on Monday, you just buy it at the 200 EMA, which it also likes to break, and then go long on. But just like the other stonks we've talked about, it breaks it a little bit less every single time for a reason. That shows price strength. That shows bulls are buying in at a higher price, showing demand. So I would assume it would come down, tap it, but at a little bit higher than these percentages. MACD's like, I'm exhausted, big fella, and girl, I feel you, me too. And it has a history. If you line it up, it has a history of reversing here. You see, reverse, reverse, reverse. Like that dumb song at all proms. Reverse, reverse, right in this area. It does that. Stochastic can get lower, and I think it might. So again, if it drops off, it's okay. And MACD just crossed over. So I guess the play would be, if it doesn't live here on Monday, which I think it could, you buy in around the 200 EMA line, and then you go long. But PCH is a good buy for the future. I apologize about this being one of my longer videos, but I'm tired, and this is great information, so deal with my love. As we can see, this channel is very strong in this area. A lot of price action stops here. I bought Tiva over here. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers. I bought Tiva over here. I'm sorry. I was like, yo, this bad boy does action, because we had a support line here, and it died a little bit. And I was like, no, we're going to hold. And then it took off, and I made some good money. And then it started dying, and I was like, frick. So I sold it. But your boy's looking to buy back in. So this area has been tested, and again, this is a very strong support. I mean, like, this over here held all this action, and then it held it right here, and I bet a lot of folks were like, what a great deal, and then they died. So this is a very strong area of support, and again, 2 times doesn't count. 3 times, if it lives, becomes a trend line. It has to be trace. Dose don't count. Dose don't count is a great name for a band. Shotgun, you can't take it from me. The good news too is this doji candle, it's 26,000 volume, which is, a lot more aftermarket than a lot of these things. It's holding support, which is pretty good. That's showing at least a little bit of life, dip, and now it's coming back up. But again, it's still technically in a downtrend until you break above probably this area. Until you break above that, it's going to be technically in a downtrend. But you can just see support channel me likey. Let's check the indicators. They look pretty nice. The reason is we have convergence with the 200. Was that an accident? I don't think so. So it respects the 200. As you can see, it really hugs it and bounces off it. A lot of price action really does tap it, and that happens a lot more when it's riding above it. You can see how it broke above it and really tapped it and took off. And then on the downtrend, that was a dumb pull. On the downtrend, you see how it technically had higher lows, but it definitely had lower highs as well. While it was kind of consolidating, it had less respect for the EMA lines. But now that it's above it, I think it's in respect to 200 the most for that reason. Support, 200 EMA line, trend line that's oversold, Stoch is really low, MACD is low. Go long on Tiva, dude. It's going to be a bop. Don't buy TGT yet. I wouldn't, but this is, it's Target. This is a great one for the future. Just like Cat. Speaking of Cat, good boy. What's important about Target and TGT? Now, I could try my best to find a trend line that kind of lines up the middle stuff. You see how this stuff, these lines, this area, like that. You see how this does have a chance of breaking the middle? That's a case to buy it now, because you can see a lot of price action does ride this area. So it kind of be like a, you know, like that standard deviation a lot of folks use. It's you drawing it yourself, basically. Is there a chance it's going to live here? Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's showing the lower high still. Do I think that buying in lower is a better idea? Yeah, I do, because it has a very clear staircase effect. Like, it makes its own channels and then goes up. Like, this was not an accident that it came down and retested it right there and took off. And it's never taken off without retesting the old area, and it hasn't done that yet. So I think it's going to come down. And again, it could blast off tomorrow. The hell do I know? But I think it's going to come down. It's going to be a few days away. And it's going to tap this, which will be intersection with this, probably the top trend line. Probably the top one. And then it's going to go off. And I mean, this is it's going to be a longer hold. You're talking from here to full hold was a month for 21%. But that's about, 0.8% a day. It's really nice. It's a good amount of gains. So that's the play. The indicators are not going to... Let's check them. So, yeah, checking them was smart. It's a 200 EMA play. It's literally the same play as Cat. 200, 200. It's going to tap the 200, 200. That's all this play is. Now, again, Stochastic and RSI... Well, Stochastic is definitely worthless for a play like this. RSI is definitely useful for, I guess, your best place to buy in. But again, all you got to look at is a 200 EMA line. If it doesn't hold that, get rid of it. That's about as simple as it is, right? Just buy in there. So anywhere 166 right now, buy in and go long for Target TGT. Texas Instruments TXN. Is that the calculator company? I wouldn't know, because I never really bought one. I would just borrow one from my friends, and I didn't do well in math. Ironic that I do this now. And again, this is very similar to Target. It has these channels. I call them like staircases. It's not a technical term. Duh. But like, there's obviously channel building going on. Like, it's beyond obvious. Like, a lot of these things line up so perfectly you couldn't write, a book about it as good as this. So it's bouncing off, and again, your top line here is going to be kind of the indication of like the good chance it's going to bounce here, but your best value is this one. And again, it's important to be like 1, 2, 3, I guess 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15 bounces to 2. So what's most likely going to happen? This line. This is like your worst case scenario. And it just curled up. So I mean, you're looking at a continuation of 4%, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not. But again, if you can get in on it now and just ride it up, that'd be dope, because it looks like it comes up, tests, and then takes off, right? It comes down, tests, and takes off. So you could wait, if you really wanted to, just wait for it to come back down to the channel trend line here, this gold line, and then you could buy in. But even if you don't, if that's what you want to do, watch list this, and if not, you just buy in now and go long. Let's check the indicators. So every single bounce that was at the golden one was a 50, and every bounce at the bottom gold line was a 200. Yeah, interesting. You see how every time it bounced, it was up for 50, then a 200. That's going to be your play. Again, you can disregard all this. I mean, you could look to buy into it. I'll disregard all of this. It doesn't matter to me. I'm looking strictly at price action. Right, 50 EMA bounce. So I guess you want to wait for it to come back down and test it. And you could buy in. It's okay. And then if you buy in now, if it dies and holds beneath it, you just sell it, and then you buy it at the 200. It's as easy as that. TXN, again, put on your watch list, and you can just write, just come over here and be like, play the 50, play the 200 if that breaks. And then you just It's gonna bother me. And then you just hit OK. Now again, I'd move it. Like, that's a dumb place to put it. But like, you put that there. Next time you come, you'd be like, oh, okay, got you. Good play. UNVR or UNVR. This is a good play and a bad play, and I'll explain why. It has a history of doing this exact shape. It has a history. And again, I'm not going to get semantical. It has a history of running up and then absolutely crashing. It has a history of running up and a very pretty trend line that has a history of crashing. So am I implying that this is going to crash? No, because I think this one's a better representation. This one's really, really steep. But again, I can't not tell you that this is like the best deal ever. It needs to come down a little bit farther. But again, you're talking an easy 5% if it runs where you want it to run, and a possible breakthrough. But you need to be careful because in this area, it does have a history of dropping. Now, it's a very quick drop. So if this is a play that looks like it's going to make you nervous, don't buy it. That's totally fine. But again, I could probably come back here, and then I could probably go like that and be like, well, technically over time it's been getting higher lows, which it has been having higher lows, especially recently, and that wasn't true over here. Do you see how over here you had higher lows until over here, and then you kind of had some issues, and then it died. Then over here you had, a good run up. Actually, that's very true over here, and then it died. So I'd be a little bit nervous to buy this one just for that, but if you like breakout plays, this one's for you. Let's check the indicators. So UNVR, I don't know if you remember, I actually did play it over here. I bought it there with I bought it here, and it was a really quick 10%. So UNVR has been good to me before. It's definitely a 50 EMA bounce play. It's as simple as that. And that's a good indication for your stop loss. If it breaks there, you could wait for the 200. It's 4% away, a little bit of money. And then if that breaks, you sell it. But it's a 50 EMA bounce play. It likes to hug it way more than anything else. And it looks historically, doesn't care about the 200. The RSI. The RSI is fair. Stochastic says it's tired, but again, it has a history of bouncing pretty quickly. MACD is what it is. So be careful. If this one does break down on you and comes down to this volume line, that's honestly even better because then we buy it and we go long again and make almost 20%. So that's really good. But UNVR for the future is a great buy. And again, it is an ascending triangle, which does give you some confidence. Last and actually least, because I hate this company, is Walmart. Gross, but I don't really care about that. I care about making money. This trend line, again, both have been broken, but again, just like with Target and Texas Instruments, you don't mess with Texas. Is that this channel, it's like your best buy-in is this area right below it, and then this area is your best price. So like, has it lived here before? Not really, but again, when it breaks into this channel, you have a good area to buy in. So like anywhere, it's a little bit high, but so by anywhere in here, this white line is what you're aiming for. If that's the case, you buy in, you could easily make 8%, 9%, 10% pretty quickly. So would I buy this tomorrow? Probably not, because it's still downtrending. If it was uptrending, like if it was over here, I'd buy it because it shows it bounced down, it came up, and then it kept going. But while it's going down, you have to historically think about the reversals. It took a while. It came up, and then it took a while burning down. It took a while to do it. So while it's downtrending, it takes its sweet old time. If it shows life here, that's kind of a great sign of strength. But again, with earnings being right here, I have a hunch it's going to drop down a little bit farther. And the farther down it drops and you wait, the better price you get and more money you're going to make. Let's check the indicators. They look pretty good. And I mean, I say pretty because there is a concern that the 200 was broken. And then last time it kind of did this. And it died. And it looks like over here, it held above it. So that's a different story that it held above it. So be careful of that. If it does hold and then breaks down on you. Again, that's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you buy in too soon. But it's also a good thing because the lower it drops, the better price you're going to get. But if it were to do this over here, you have no idea where it's going to reverse at. I would assume it's going to reverse around 140, historically speaking. So I'll give it some time to really show its hand. Stochastic's fair, RSI is fair, MACD is pretty low. So it's showing you that it has a chance of reversing here because of the 200, but again, it broke beneath it, which makes me concerned. But if it does go long, easy 7%. If it does die, again, watch list it because, again, and eventually, given the fact that the owners of Walmart are probably billionaires, they're not going to want to lose money on their own company. They're going to make sure it lives and goes long. And that's it. That's all 15 plays. Again, in a perfect world, I would be asleep right now, but I'm not going to be able to film tomorrow, so I thought I might as well knock it out now and really just show you my commitment. You know, you see my eyes? Committed. Yeah, maybe do an institution. No. So that's the plays for tomorrow, Monday the 21st. 15 of them. I think the few that I've mentioned, and I kind of preface saying you should wait on them. I highly suggest you wait on them just to make sure. We have no idea which direction the market's going. We've seen a slow burn up and then a slow burn down. I made money through the last 3 or 4 weeks easy. So hopefully this week starts off with a bang. Out here hitting mad dingers, my boy. So that's it. We'll see you guys on probably Tuesday at the earliest. I'm out of town Monday. So my first day out of schedule. Breaks my little heart, but I got things to do. And then Tuesday, if I get back in time, I'll film. If not, I'll just make a watch list. Monday, there will be nothing from me, and I'm sorry about that. Wednesday, we get back to it. We'll be right back on schedule. So have a good Sunday. Be blessed, whatever you want to do. And have a good Monday. See you guys on Tuesday or Wednesday. Bye.